if you are here, I'm not sure if you saw this on Instagram or maybe you saw my Facebook post, but I am here live on Sunday morning. April 26th is when we're doing this live training, and I am here with a great friend of mine, someone that I lean on to for advice with money and everything to do about money, including stocks, including insurance, including everything, right? Because there's a lot of tricks to this game. And so I wanted him to come on. He is a part of the REI Masterclass. If you're not a part of the REI Masterclass, make sure to be a part. Just go to the reimasterclass.com, the reimasterclass.com. But I want to introduce someone that really doesn't need an introduction, Mr. Chris Naugle. He's been around for many, many years and speaking on very massive stages with people like myself, Kent Clothier, Grant Cardone, and others. And he has been teaching money, finances, leverage, you name it. And so I am very happy to spend this Sunday with you, brother. How are you?
Good. I'm excited.
I had one of those things, right? And I don't. So there's that.
There's that.
Well, so dude, thank you so much. I know it's Sunday, but I mean, at the end of the day, I believe you and I work 7 days a week. And I think most people are, whether they're working or they're still trying to, better themselves, level up, follow, the people doing stuff. That's why this is happening. And so I appreciate you spending Sunday morning with me.
That's my pleasure, man. This is Sunday fun day.
That's it, baby. That's it. So listen, let's kind of dive right in. I think a lot of people are sitting here right now, and the reason why this is so important, quite honestly, I'll probably start to try to leech more of your time as we go, because I think there's a lot of people financially hurt right now. I think, a lot of people are out of jobs, and this isn't about all that, but I want that to be kind of the precipice of why it's really important to understand money, how money works, where to find money, how to leverage money, what tools to be using, because, during times like this, you want to have that type of information. So I am going to really kind of hand this over to you, right? You're really the expert here, and we can banter back and forth, but I want to kind of let you have a runway to really, go, right? And to help people out with this whole entire thing. So why don't we just start there? I'm going to try to get this into the Science of Flipping group. If you're not a part of the Science of Flipping group on Facebook, you should be. And so we are live in both areas. But then also I want this to be very engaging. And so what I'm going to do is, if you are watching this live, I want you to tag 2 people in this thread. You have to @ them in this thread that you're watching, and then make sure to take a screenshot of this. And I want you to tag Chris and myself on Instagram. And for those who do both these things, you need to tag 2 people in this thread and take a screenshot of this training and put it on Instagram. And I personally will Venmo 2 people $50 each. Personally, I'll ask for your personal Venmo. I will personally Venmo it to you. So I want this to be engaging. I want you guys to interact. I want this to be fun. I know it's Sunday, but let's make this fun. Again, rules: tag 2 people in the thread, take a picture of us, Chris and myself, and then tag us in Instagram, and we'll go from there. All right, dude. That's kind of my introduction, man. You're the man at this, and I want you to start rolling.
Sure. I want to do this fun. I want to talk about, some of the things that all of us need to know about how money works, but the things that we're not taught. The secrets of the millionaires and the billionaires. Why is it that they do something that's totally opposite that we do when it comes to money? And, how I learned all this, that there's always a story, and I'm going to not give you the whole one, but I learned this by falling flat on my face, not just once, not just twice, but 3 times, because all I ever knew, like many of your audience, is I just knew the conventional financial wisdom, the conventional stuff that they teach us about how money works. And what we've all learned is really to give up control of our money. If you really think about it, that's all we've ever done, is we've been taught to give up control of our money. Put your money in retirement accounts and let somebody else manage it. And then you're not in control of that money. Not only that, you just gave up control of the best dollars you will ever have, the most valuable dollars. You gave up control of those dollars. And then you're going to get paid back someday later. Maybe it's more money. Maybe it's not more money. Like right now, a lot of people, what they invested in their retirement accounts, guess what? They just lost everything that they've been working for. And hopefully no one on this is close to retirement, because they're not going to catch up. So those are the traditional things. And putting money in banks. Putting money in a bank, the bank's in control of your money. If you guys haven't learned that yet, go to the bank and try to take all of your money out of the bank. If you have a balance over 10 grand, you'll very quickly see who's in control of your money. So I think my story was in '08, I lost it all, right? I almost went bankrupt because of the markets, really. I didn't know what I didn't know, and I just got caught on the wrong side. But I didn't learn a lot. All I did during that period of time is blame everybody else, blame the economy. I blamed, the other people that screwed me over in '09, because of the whole thing crashed. So other people that, I was in business with just walked away from me and left me holding the bag. But then that's not the most important one. That was a learning lesson of self awareness. Then fast forward to 2014. After I entered the real estate world in a big way, and I got up to 36 units, but everything I was doing was based on what I learned as a financial advisor. And I think at that time I was like 14 years deep as an advisor at a high level. And everything I'd been just taught by reading some books, not good books, but just basic, like almost like 101 books, right? Like here's a 101 house flipping and 101 buying rentals. Like not the right stuff. I didn't dig deep enough. And in 14, I literally had to sell every single unit that I bought. I had to sell the dream house that me and my fiance at the time bought, and it created a lot of tensions in my life. And this is that moment in my life where I'd had a ton of money before '08, then I lost it all. And then I'd gotten it back through assets and just hard work. And then here I was losing it all again. At that point in your life, you literally just get down on your knees and you do a lot of praying. But what you also do is you start seeking out the answers as to why I'm riding this roller coaster of, in my opinion, it was the roller coaster of hell, but I call it the financial slavery roller coaster or hamster wheel. At that time, I met two people, and those two people were extremely successful. I met them at a 3-day workshop, and what they were doing with money and what they were doing in real estate was the complete opposite of everything I'd been taught. And then I was just like, there's something wrong. The system's broken. And I began my journey of mapping out the millionaire mystery. Why is it that they do everything the opposite way that I do? So, what I want to talk about today is the biggest thing that I learned. And I learned this in 14 from Mike. Okay. Mike was a private lender that lent money to me, extremely successful. He had a show on A&E. I mean, he was everything that I'd wanted. He had a ton of money, had a great lifestyle, had the show on A&E. Clearly, obviously, I modeled that. And he was influential in helping me get our show, Risky Builders, on HGTV. But we're in Utah and I'm struggling. I'm buried in debt. I'm just entering the flipping world. And I had begun this realization that what they did was the opposite of me. So I'm in Salt Lake City and I'm at the Cheesecake Factory. And he starts telling me about this thing, this magic machine, I'll call it at that point, that he was using to build wealth. He was using to lend money, but yet he was in full control of this. And he starts telling me about this. And I'm just like, I didn't even touch my food that morning. I was kind of like, as soon as he starts talking about it, I'm just like this. And then I'm like this. And then I'm like this. And then I'm like, dude, what are you getting at? What is this? And as soon as I started learning what it was, the very first thing that came to my mind is this is too good to be true. There's no way this is real. And I started saying that. I said, Mike, listen, I'm a financial advisor and I've been doing this a long time. And what you are talking about, I think, is a whole life insurance policy. But everything I've been taught for the 14 or 15 years as an advisor tells me that everything you're telling me about what you're doing with this whole life thing, that it doesn't work that way. So I'm calling bull crap. And he says to me, quote unquote, almost verbatim, he says, well, if this is all too good to be true and this is all a scam as you're thinking, then I don't know what to tell you because I've been doing everything I just told you. And not only that, man, you know all those loans I make you? Guess where that money's coming from? This vehicle. At that point, I'm like, holy crap, man, what else don't I know? Like this just keeps happening. So I said to him, I said, how do I learn more? And he gave me the name for this guy named Brent. And he said, just call Brent and he'll tell you all about what I'm doing. Cause I'm not the expert, man. I'm just using it. And that's exactly what it's doing for me. I'm making money on my money, even when the money is not in my account. Now listen to that. Like he was making money on his money, uninterrupted compound interest on his money when his money was being lent to me. So he's still making money, but his money's not in his account anymore. That just logically made no freaking sense because my bank didn't work that way. None of my brokerage accounts worked that way. I made money when the money was parked there out of my control. But the second I took my money out, I stopped making money. It was kind of like, great, I got to leave it there and I got to ride this roller coaster, because if I take it out, everything stops. And that's what we've all been taught. But he was telling me about some way where I could leave my money somewhere, but yet I could still use it. And while I'm using it, I could still make interest. So that began my journey. And it took me all the way to get out to Mexico to learn this, because I called Brent, and me, I've beaten my chest, Mr. Big Financial Advisor. I said, Brent, listen, I know it's a whole life and it's all this stuff. Just tell me how this works. Just give me the goods. And he's like, well, I'm going to send you a video. It's an hour and 45 minutes long. Just watch it and then we'll have a conversation. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I know what this is. Just tell me how to do this. And he says, no, you don't understand. So here's a hour and 45-minute long video. When you're done watching this, then we can talk. Okay, we'll see you. Bye-bye. Click. It didn't quite go that way, but you get the drift. So one Sunday I was remiss. I had to learn this. So a giant cup of coffee, thinking this is going to be boring and I don't have an hour and a half. I waddle myself down to my basement. I put that coffee down. I hit start. An hour and 45 minutes went by in like 15 minutes. I think I took one sip of the coffee and I had 4 pages of notes, and I had just found the holy grail. I had literally just cracked the code to literally the thing that I always needed. And that's where it begins. Do you want me to keep just diving into it, or you got any?
Yeah, well, right now I'm sharing the wealth with the people. I'm trying to get this even wider and go on Instagram with it, but I look like a crazy person in that photo. Well, so what I think is really important for people to understand is, when you understand how money's actually working and where it's coming from, a lot of times you don't need to have the money, right? It's basically based around an investment tool that you potentially have been actively using, right? And there's a lot to this, right? Like, you could do the same thing with the stock market and borrow against the money that you've invested in other stocks and the equity against your other stock. I mean, we can go really, really wide, right? So let's just take a second and dive a little bit more deep into this very specific thing, because I'm a believer, and I actually, as you know, have a whole life health policy with intention and specifics to make it an investment vehicle, right? You can borrow against it. You can borrow against the equity. You can pay yourself, etc. Right? And it doesn't even have to be money that is in your bank account, but in theory is treated almost as if it's my 401k or IRA, where I'm investing into it and I'm getting a return on it. And if I can go loan against it, I can make even more money, right?
Right.
So I think let's dive in with that first. Like, just talk about the policy. Like, I think it's really foreign to a lot of people is where I'm going here. So maybe 10,000 foot view, so we don't overly complicate it.
Oh, no, I'll keep it simple.
4 hours, but like, maybe let's go with that.
All right. So, I mean, the first thing is, what we're talking about is a very specially designed whole life insurance policy from a very specific kind of company, a mutually owned, dividend paying insurance company. So everybody, when I hear whole life, their mind immediately goes over here to right field of what they've learned. And what they've learned is a whole life is just for a death benefit. Oh yeah, and I put money into it. And when I put money into it, I don't have access to my money, I don't think, for at least a few years. And oh yeah, that Dave Ramsey guy says it's a terrible, terrible investment. So does Susie Orman. So like, why the heck are we talking about investing money here? Well, the very first thing I got to debunk is whole life insurance. The way we use it is nothing like what you know about whole life, because what we're doing is we're creating a banking system. And the only thing that this specially designed whole life insurance policy does is acts as a machine to move your money. I actually have a chart that I'm going to use a little bit because it's just easier sometimes to put visuals.
Whoa, look at those graphics, player.
I used to be a really good artist, so I sometimes pull those old art skills out of the closet. So the only thing that, I want you to see this circle. All we essentially really want to do is we want to mimic exactly what banks do, because banks take our money and they lend our money out, and they do this in a very controlled fashion, but all they're doing is moving money. So if the only thing we're doing is using a specially designed whole life as a mechanism to move money in and out of, that's how I want you to think about this. Who cares about the death benefit? Okay. Because it's going to be there someday when you graduate, but I just don't want anyone to even think that we're doing this because of a death benefit. And Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman and all the other naysayers about this, they're right. Whole life insurance is an awful investment because they just don't know what they don't know. And Will Rogers says it best. He says the biggest problem in America is not what people don't know. It's what they think they know that just ain't so. And they just don't know what they don't know. And every advisor and almost every insurance agent that I've come across, when I've told them about this and they get really excited, they have no idea how this works. They think they do, but what they don't know is the part that hurts them the most, because it's that they think they know. And using this just as a machine to move your money, we do it for a couple of reasons, which I'm going to get into a second. But the other thing, whole life insurance, what we're going to do is not an investment at all. So Dave Ramsey's 100% right. It's a terrible investment because it's not an investment. An investment involves risk, and this system involves zero risk. Matter of fact, it's 100% guaranteed. It can never, ever lose. And there is never, ever a day that goes by that you do not have more money than you did the day before. So imagine that. You never, ever, ever can have less money than you did the day before, no matter what you do, no matter what. That's why this works. So how we teach this and how we basically show people to use this is we literally tell them all you have to do in your life is change one thing. That's it. Just one thing. And that one thing we're going to change is everybody, we've gotten really good at making money. Most people are machines at making money, right? We learn how to hustle. We learn how to wholesale. We learn how to flip. And, all real estate investors are very good at making money. You know how to do that. But the problem is they take their income, they put it in the bank, which means you give up control, and the bank then uses your money the same way I'm going to teach you. That's where the problem is. Most people put their money in the bank, they pay all their bills, their credit cards, their car payments, they make all their payments to everybody else, and they keep what's left. And somehow it's just never enough, because we all give away about 90 cents of every single dollar to other people. So in order to build wealth, and we can even say that we can show you how to build wealth through your own debts and expenses, all we need to do is change one thing. And what that one thing is this: if we just take that paycheck or that income that you make, and instead of depositing it in the bank first, we change one thing and we deposit into your bank. And what is your bank? Well, it's a very specially designed whole life insurance policy that is going to be designed to act and look and feel just like a bank account. Right down to the science of, you're going to put money in this bank account, and what are you going to do next? Within the first 30 days, or when your check clears, you're going to take that money right back out of your bank. Except for now we're going to start really paying attention to the banking process, and we're going to mimic what banks do with our money. So we're going to take our money out of this banking policy, and then what we're going to do is we're going to pay down debts. Okay, we're not going to make monthly minimum payments to debts. What we're going to use this vehicle for, this specially designed whole life, is we're going to use this to then pay down and off debts. And every single time we make a payment to debts, and I'll get to this, can be used for anything. I'm just going to start with debts. Let's say we take our money from our specially designed whole life. You deposit money in your whole life, and you immediately, the second your check clears, you take that money back out in the form of a loan. Now, you're not taking a loan from yourself. Well, you really are, but you're essentially using your money as collateral, your money that's here as collateral, and the insurance company has agreed contractually to allow you to use their money, their general account, and take that money out at a low interest rate. You're making, so just so you know, your interest on this account is going to be a guaranteed 4%. But then every year, the insurance companies, the mutually owned insurance companies we are going to pay you a dividend. And that interest plus that dividend is going to get you to upward of 6%. Unless your bank account is paying you 6% right now, I think you need to listen to this, because now you're making 6% on your money. But the best part is, now when we take that money out as a loan, we're still making 6%, even though all that money or a percentage of that money came out of your account. So my money sits there and continually keeps earning uninterrupted interest, right? Compound interest, the thing that Albert Einstein talks about as being the eighth wonder of the world. That is what the most important thing is. So you take the money out, and what you do is you just deposit it in your regular bank account, whatever bank account you have. That's what this is. And then from your bank account, you write a check and you pay off your credit cards. Now, I don't care if you pay off a credit card. Let's say this is your Visa and it was $100 a month you were paying Visa. We all have debts, right? Most of us do. And if you don't, I'm going to show you other ways to use this, but most of us do. So if you paid off Visa and you were giving Visa $100 a month, chances are Visa was charging you between 10 and 29%. So if we paid Visa off and we take that $100, which was the equivalent of 10 to 29% interest, and we just take that $100 a month from Visa or whatever your payment is, and we put that money back in your policy, which is paying down that loan we took from the insurance company, how much did you just make? Well, the whole time you were making 4% guaranteed plus a dividend, which is about 6.2%, 6 to 6.2. So you're making that, but we got to pay the insurance company something because they're going to charge us an interest rate on that loan. They're going to charge us roughly 5% simple interest, not compound. So we're still making 1.2 or 1% on our money, even though all that money's gone. But now that we took that recaptured money and we put it back, the money you used to be freely and happily giving to Visa, we put that back over here. You just picked up an extra 20%. Now imagine if we did that with your cars. Imagine if we took your deposits, we made payments into, or we deposited in your bank. And then we, instead of then going out and taking a loan for a car or leasing a car, we just took the money from our policy and we paid cash for that car out of our policy. But then we took an extra step. Instead of just paying cash for a car, which is the worst thing you can ever do with your money, we then take whatever we would have, given the car company or the finance company, let's call it a $500 a month car payment. We take that $500 a month and we put that money back in our policy through this same circle. All you're doing, folks, is moving your money. But the whole time you're moving your money, your money never, ever stopped earning interest. That's kind of the whole basis behind this. And that's why we say that this is literally you learning how to be the bank. Now, imagine if you did that to buy real estate. So instead of, going and borrowing all the money from private lenders, you took some money or all of the money from your banking policy, the specially designed whole life, and you then use that to make the 20% deposit that you need for taking money from a bank. And instead of then paying the bank or a private lender, you just paid yourself back. This works in everything. Hey, yeah. I can show anybody with this system how to get all the money back for anything that they are going to purchase in the future. I always say, if you want to learn how to get all the money back for every car you're going to buy, drive, and own, we can show you how to do that.
Well, so I got to stop because I think I'm very aware of this. I want everyone that this is live on Facebook in 2 different areas. I want you guys to ask any questions you have access to Chris right now. Fundamentally, that is the process, right? So I want you guys, he does a much deeper dive in his REI or his money school, rei.com, right?
Yeah, we'll give everybody the link to a 90-minute training. Now, again, remember, that sounds like a long training, but it'll go by in like 15 minutes, and you will literally crack the code the moment you watch that video. I'm just trying to get you to understand why the wealthiest people in the world use this system. And
so because I want people to engage, the only way you get this link is you need to tag 2 people in this thread and then take a screenshot of Chris and myself and tag us on your Instagram story. If you do both, you get the link and you get $50 from me. Because I want you guys to be playing all out. It's no good for us to just keep giving you guys stuff if you're not going to actually do anything with it. So if there are questions, let me check it out. What's up, Dustin? I see Dustin. I see Carlo, Kyle. What's happening? Marvy, what's going on? No questions yet. Apparently these guys, they're all old hats at this. This is easy. But one of the things so let me kind of chime into the beautiful part of this is, so I set it up before you were advising me on this, right? Because I knew the power of it. So I actually deposit it quarterly. I have a quarterly deposit versus whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or whatnot. But fundamentally, it's all working the same, right? And so how you would do this is, let's just say, I guess the question I'll pose you that I think they would be asking is, how much do you actually need to put in there to move your needle? Meaning, if your first payment is $1,000, I mean, yes, the system works, but does it really move the needle? What would you say about someone that doesn't really have enough money in there really to kind of, let's say, pay a car or pay off a credit card? Let's say they have $7,000 on a credit card, to use a number, and they're able to put their first payment of $1,000 into this bank account. Kind of follow the structure there. Do they need to wait maybe until they have a couple payments, they have a little chunk of money? What would you suggest? Should they partially pay off the credit card?
Yeah. So the easiest way to understand this is you don't have to really pick and choose an amount, like whatever the amount you want to make as a deposit, that's what you're going to do. There's no payment here. So you had mentioned payment. This is making a deposit the same way you do it into your bank. So use the $1,000. Let's say somebody deposits $1,000 and they set it up monthly to deposit $1,000 a month because that's what they want to save. Once that $1,000 hits there, they're going to have access to anywhere between 60 and 90% of that money. Now, there's a range, and I'll get into that in a little bit. It's just how we structure the plan for their particular needs. But let's say they can take 60% of their thousands. That means they have $600 they can take out. Now, is $600 going to move the needle on a $7,000 credit card? Maybe not. So maybe what we do is we make deposits for 3 months. This is how I do mine and how I got out of debt in 2014 using this. Every 3 months, I made deposits, and I made a deposit for a lot less than 1,000 a month because I had no money back then, but I did what I could. And every 3 months, I would take a loan from my policy and I would pay it down against that credit card. Now, as you know, when you make principal payments on credit cards, your monthly payment drops. So let's say we don't fully pay the credit card off. Let's just say we pay it down a little and we free up $40 a month by paying that principal down in that 3 month time frame. Now we take that $40 a month that we used to give to the credit card and we put that money back in our policy. Now that $40 immediately becomes available and immediately is earning interest. So then the next 3 months we do the same thing and we take that $1,000 or that 600, 600, 600, plus we take the $40 extra that we used to give away to the credit card, and now we pay that down on the credit card. Now what we're doing is we're multiplying money and we're using money. We didn't change how much money we're saving. It's the same exact amount you are doing today. You're just reallocating how that money is being used, and you're using it smarter. This is the epitome of make your money work harder for you. It's all you're doing, the exact same dollars. We're just not, we're just doing something different with it without changing how hard you work, without changing control of your money, without taking on any risk. This will work every time. So the other thing too that comes up a lot, and right on that same thing, let's say somebody does set a plan up and they're going to put 1,000 a month into it. But then something happens like COVID-19 and they lose their job. And now all of a sudden they can't deposit 1,000. They're only getting unemployment. So what they have the ability to do is go from 1,000, they can reduce that down by 60%. So they could go from 1,000 down to 400, and they could just do 400 for a few months while they're kind of getting through this period of time, or for as long as they want. And then they have the ability to bump back up to the 1,000 anytime. But a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, okay, well, if I set it up at 1,000 and things do really good, can I deposit more? The answer is no. There are rules, okay? There are IRS rules, and whatever we set you up at, that's going to be your ceiling, and you can never go higher in that particular policy. So that would require you to open the second branch office and the third. I have 6 of these things for that very specific reason.
In my terms, just so I'm clear, at least the person that set me up, they call them buckets, right? So when you
Good way to do it.
you open another bucket, right? Mm-hmm. Which is basically another policy. So again, it's interesting. There's not as many questions I thought there would be, which is fine. The reality is people are going to be able to see this live here on Facebook. Again, if you are not a part of the Science Flipping Academy group and you're interested in real estate, get over there. Also, they're going to be seeing this on YouTube. So we will make sure you have all the links on YouTube as well that Chris wants to share. And the question I would ask you though, I personally would never be able to set this up, right? I'm assuming you would advise people to have someone advise them on how to do this, structure it, make sure it's all done correctly, correct?
Correct. I mean, and you'd have to find somebody that knows how to do this, because a lot of people make the mistake, and there's a couple of people on here that made this mistake or almost did, and I'm not going to call any names out. But if you go to your normal financial advisor or your normal insurance agent, I can almost guarantee you, but I'll just say 99.9% sure, they will not know how to build your policy the right way. So you will then get this illustration from your insurance agent that you'll look at and you'll be like, dude, there's no way this works the way he said. Because I just told you a second ago that if you made $1,000 deposit, you immediately in the first 30 days have access to no less than 60% of your money. You try to get your insurance agent or your financial advisor to create you a specially designed whole life insurance policy that gives you access to 60 to 90% of your money immediately in the first 30 days. They will look at you with this weird look, kind of like they just saw a white unicorn with rainbows floating around it, and they saw this for that. That's how they're going to look at you. They're going to look at you in disbelief that that's not even possible. You see, in order for this to work, you have to find somebody that knows how to build this. Now, who knows how to build this? Well, banks, big, people at banks, like the high ups, they know how to do this. And people like myself know how to do this. But the average advisor, the average insurance agent has no clue how to do this, because what they have to do is they have to build it the complete opposite way that you would build a whole life. And another thing that they have to do, and this is where they don't like it, even if they knew how to do it, this is the part that will really surprise you. To do this, your advisor will have to take a pay cut of between 60 and 90%. Their commission
fired up. They are
right
not
there
saying, yes, let me go do this for you at a discount. Awesome.
So this is why you probably never have heard of this, or why there's misconceptions about this, and why people think they know what they don't know, is because most advisors have no clue they can even give their commission up. And even if they know that they can, which they probably don't, do they really want to take a 60 or 90% cut in their pay? Now, listen, how do we get paid? We make 60 to 90% less. And I did an interview not long ago, and he says, so Chris, I know you're all about like teaching people this, and I know you're passionate, and I know you love helping people, but you're literally laying down on the sword. Like something doesn't make sense. Like what gives? Well, here's the thing that gives. I have learned through what we do, and we have over 3,000 members in the Money Multiplier that we help them without one complaint. Go online and try to find one complaint about us, and you can't. So if this is a scam, or this is too good to be true, or this is, something that doesn't really work exactly how I'm telling you it works, then how is it that with over 3,000 people that we have helped set banking systems up, there's not one negative review anywhere? And if there is, it's not about us, because we search every single day. We have a team that does that. The reason for this is we just know how to do this. And by me taking a cut, or my team taking a cut in our commissions, we then help people tremendously. And by helping people, they tell people, and they tell more people, which means we always have new people to talk to. So although we're making a lot less, we're helping thousands of people. The average agent, if they're lucky, helps 100 people per year. We're helping 500 to 1,000 people a year. So you just do the math, and it really does make sense. And then the second thing that happens is, because we're so good about educating people on how to do this through our whole system, because we don't just set the plan up, we actually help you design your entire banking system, and we help you manage it. We call it the mapping process. In that process, people realize, like after they set it up and they thought, oh, this might be too good to be true, just like I did. I thought the same thing. So they start with a low number because they're just testing the waters. Like, I'm just going to dip my toe in because I doubt this works that good. And they get into it and they see that everything that I'm telling you works exactly like this. And then it actually works better. Then it always happens. 91% of our members start their second banking policy, bucket number 2, branch office number 2, whatever you want to call it, after the first year. Like before the second year, they start their second banking policy. Now, why would they do that? Well, if somebody set up a plan at $1,000 a month and that's their ceiling, and they get into this and they realize, oh my God, this works exactly how he said, they might want to put 1,500 away, but we can't. So now they start their second banking policy for 500 a month. And then that's how we do it. We just have found if we educate people and we teach them how this works and how to use this in everything in their life, they're going to need more than one. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy for us.
So before everyone floods your inbox, right? I'm assuming you have the ability to help people set these up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I knew the answer. I just wanted to make sure you were willing to. Because I know what's going to happen. People are going to say, Chris, help me hook this up, blah, blah, blah. So we'll figure out, if there is a preferred method for them to go.
There is.
Then say it so people don't just.
All right. So if this even remotely piqued your interest and you're like, oh my God, I want to talk to you. Here's the rule. You can't talk to me until you watch that 90-minute video. And I'll give you the link. Just like Brent, this is the rule. And there's no exception. If I get you on the phone and you only watched half of that video, within the first 2 minutes, I'm going to know because I'm watching you. I'm going to know that you didn't, and I'm going to end the call right there. You have to watch the whole video, because that whole video will teach you the secrets of the wealthy. Literally, it will teach you everything in our book, Mapping Out the Millionaire with Mystery. And if you're thinking right now, 90 minutes, man, I'm going to tell you something right now. If 90 minutes could be the one thing you have to do that changes the rest of your financial future, would you spend the 90 minutes? Well, I can promise you that it will change the rest of your financial future. Not just tell you, I can promise you and guarantee you that it will. So you have to watch the 90-minute video. And at the end of the 90-minute video, there is a page in the video that allows you to text in to get my calendar. So once you finish the video, then comes the screen, you text it in, my calendar appears in your phone or in your inbox, and you book a time with me. And listen, the one thing I don't do is I don't sell this. And I don't mean I don't help people set this up. I just mean we will never, ever be asking you for your business.
Yeah.
If I do my job of teaching you how this works, in that call, I will answer every single question you have as long as it takes you to get all your questions out. And at the end of it, it always goes the same way. I say, okay, do you have any further questions? And they say, no, I think you answered them all. Great. Well, if there's anything further I can do to help serve you, no, I guess I do have another question. How do I get started? That's how it always goes, because that's the gateway. You have to learn how this works, and there's a process, and then we help you set that up, and then we walk you through. It'd be like learning how to, swim. I'm teaching you, I'm in the pool right now, and I'm teaching you how to swim. I'm giving you all the things and what you need to do. You got to paddle, make sure you breathe, all the different strokes and the different things you need to do to swim. But you can never, ever learn how to swim until you get in the pool. So I can teach you as much as I want, but once you're in the pool, then I can teach you how to be a master. We can do the breaststroke. We can do all those different things. And, I'm just showing you comparisons, but that's how this
Why it's
works.
gotta be the breaststroke, bro?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Well,
Uh,
freestyle, breaststroke.
that's it. So here's what we want to do. You have the link. We're going to give them the link. You need to watch the 90-minute video, guys. I think, there's a lot, it goes a lot deeper, but the fundamentals of this really is how money works, right?
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go.
This is the thing that people really they have an aha moment. And I just learned this the other day, that this is what people really want to hear. But I want you to think about banks. The last time you went into your bank, how many vice presidents did you see at the bank? Probably a lot, right? They're walking around, their chest is puffed out. They got the little black or gold badge on them. Have you ever asked yourself, why do banks have so many vice presidents? Is it really necessary? They have a vice president of everything, a vice president of cleaning, a vice president of the garbage trash clean out. There's a vice president for everything. Well, let me tell you why. You know who the number one purchaser of whole life insurance in the world is? Conventional banks. But why the heck would banks buy so much whole life? Well, is it because they're stupid or because they know something and we don't know? It's because they know something. So the problem for a bank is banks want to buy more and more whole life, but they can't because the bank needs somebody to insure. They need to have an insurable interest on an employee in order to take out more of these specially designed whole lives. So what do? They create their own system, right? They'd make their guys vice presidents and their gals vice presidents. And by doing that, the bank says, Mr. Vice President, you're getting a promotion. We're going to increase your pay. We're going to give you a fully paid up life insurance policy for $100,000. You never have to pay for it. And if you work for this bank for 20 years, on the 21st year, we're going to start paying you an income for the rest of your life. And it's called the deferred comp. And you're going to get that too. Welcome to the executive staff, my friend. So now they've got an executive VP. Well, once a VP is made an executive of a bank, the bank has an insurable interest. So what do you think the bank does? They very quickly run to the mutually owned insurance company of choice. They buy a big old fat whole life insurance policy on that employee. Then what they do is they fund the snot out of it the way that I'm talking about doing it. And then if that someday when that employee dies, okay, well, actually, let's give them the retirement. When they retire, the whole time this bank's been using this money. All along. But the 21st year, they start paying in an income out of this whole life policy to that employee. And someday later, when that employee does graduate, quote unquote, die, that insurance policy pays out a big old fat death benefit. 100,000 goes to that VP's family, and they're very thankful. But the other 900 or 1.2 or 1.5 million, guess who gets that? The bank gets that. Why do you think the Rockefellers do this? Why do you think that they can never, ever run out of money? The Rothschilds, the JP Morgans, the Stanleys of the world, they can't ever run out of money because this is what they do with it. And they're in full control of every dollar. So that's where this all started from. And now we've just taken it and brought it down to the simplest form where every single person that can fog a mirror can use this. Sorry, I went a little long, but it's important they understand.